way. I had an award-winning office when I was in the Air Force because I went to a troubled office myself before. I was sent to troubled offices to try and fix them. I see the same symptoms here that I saw in those offices. There is a lack of internal discipline and rigor in protecting the public's interest. We used to have what we call a war board, so that every major case that we had, we could track from the time charges were filed to when motion to dismiss was set up, when summary judgment was set up, when discovery was due. And we're missing discovery deadlines too. Look at the Carrillo case. Discovery deadlines were not met in that case. And so you end up with it having an ill effect on prosecution and people not being defended adequately. The award-winning office I had was at Cannon Air Force Base. It was the only Air Force office that had been awarded the outstanding legal office 2 years in a row under the leadership and the team that I built there. And that's what I want to do, is I want to build a team here to bring this back so we're connected with the community, so we're combating crime, and we're running on an efficient basis for all of you folks out there.
You bet. I think that, again, there are just a lot of misinformation and half-truths and insinuations that just aren't valid. One of the things that's very troubling, and it should be troubling for all of you, is that my opponent raises a specific case that's currently pending in litigation, the Carrillo case. You know, I think there's some ethics involved in that. Yeah. The other thing involved as a county commissioner, I would think that he'd want to help the criminal justice system be better and not endanger cases. But the fact of the matter is the judge ruled that there was no discovery violation in that case. And so it would behoove my opponent to read the order a little carefully. But let me get into some of his record for you, because it's really hard to go through in 1 minute each detail that he's presented, other than to say that it's just misinformation. You know, he was basically in litigation himself over the ice house cleanup. Here's the deposition that he took. And in that deposition, he stated that his management style was to delegate his authority and to make sure that his county attorney and that his public works directors and that the subordinates did the work, and that he just sort of managed things. In that particular style of management, this county suffered $6.6 million of loss for double paying the ice house cleanup on the judicial building. Now, if that's the kind of management style he's bringing to the DA's office, I just don't think that's going to work. I think one of the big problems that he has is he likes to spend money. Our county is over $100 million in debt. And we cannot afford many of the things that are going to be coming up in this year's budget and next year's budget because of that, because we have such high debt.
Okay, time to go.
So with that, we'll get into it.
To respond to that just momentarily, Mr. Hanson. First of all, keep in mind that some of these allegations that are out there and some of the topics that want to be discussed other than criminal justice are a diversion, because the district attorney cannot talk about crime that's gone up. He was told in his Fountain Creek case, which he mistakenly says that he was successful in. The district attorney was not successful in that case. The Sierra Club was successful in that case. And I commend the Sierra Club. Sierra Club had standing in that case, and I fully supported them in what they did in obtaining their $35,000 damages award. But the district attorney had no standing in that case and was told that at the trial court level and was told at the appellate court level. In fact, in fairly scathing language, saying this is not the purview of the district attorney's office, yet it was a $700,000 lesson that this county has had to bear. So keep in mind that that's a diversion from talking about crime going up 21% since 2005, and rapes higher at 21%, and aggravated assaults higher at 31%. Can't talk about the district attorney's office, so let's talk about other issues that he thinks are damning.
We'll do one more quick rebuttal on this one, and then we're going to move on. Bill?
Well, I think it's interesting that Commissioner Chostner raises the Fountain Creek because he's very cozy with Colorado Springs. He himself, he himself if it cost $750,000, it was well worth it, but it didn't. It was about half that. What he doesn't understand is that strategically, we worked with the Sierra Club, and our witnesses actually helped win that case. He spent over $2 million on his Denver lawyer to approve the SDS project, which Judge Reyes recently indicated was not done in accordance with the regulations of the state. So, you know, I think these things are just red herrings, and I'm going to ask you to investigate the facts before you just go along and believe these outrageous statements of misinformation, which is sad from an elected official of our community to just fire off these things without any source or substance.
Yeah.
If I could, again, Fountain Creek is a diversion from talking about criminal justice. But that said, let's talk about that for a moment. Over 50% of the water in Pueblo Reservoir belongs to Colorado Springs. And just as if you were at a landlocked piece of property, you have a right of access to that. We knew that if we went to court for 10 years, that Colorado Springs would ultimately get access to their water. So we entered into negotiations with him, and at the end of that, a permit was issued in which we extracted about $150 million from Colorado Springs Utilities, and if you saw the paper today, another $15 million in roads. So we had $50 million to the Fountain Creek District, we had $75 million in repairs in El Paso County, $6 million in repairs to the dam for the benefit of Pueblo, 1,500 additional acre feet of water to keep the river a living river from the dam to the confluence, and now the $15 million in roads. That is concrete evidence of how you can negotiate effectively. Not take a case that's tossed out of court twice and reprimanded essentially by a judge saying you don't have the jurisdiction and standing to be here. As I said in my opening, I get your results and I deliver. I don't waste $700,000 on a fruitless case that a first-year law student could have told you you had no stake.
Let's run this, move on to another question. Jeff, you'll handle this one first. We could go like this for a while. Jeff, one of your criticisms of the office is that the DA's office has a damaged relationship with law enforcement. Could you please discuss that? And then, Bill, you'll get a chance to respond to that.
I think if you talk to any of the law enforcement personnel, or virtually any of the personnel here, whether it's the sheriff's office or it's the police office, they will tell you that they have difficulty working with this office. That when they send cases over to the DA's office, nothing happens. Phone calls are not returned. It has got to the point where they will take cases and send them to municipal court, knowing that they can prosecute the cases themselves and get some result out of it, even if it's a slap on the hand, rather than to send it to the DA's office and it just lie fallow in district or county court. So you don't have to believe me. Talk to the law enforcement personnel and they'll tell you the damage is there. And my concern with that is, if you have a demoralized police force, they're not going to do the work as hard or as diligently as they need to perfect cases to get convictions. So the fact that this three-legged stool, the sheriff's office, the police department, and the DA's office is only operating on two legs means that that stool's not upright, means that justice in this town is not being carried out, means that law enforcement is not effective, and you get to the point where you hear people say, if you want to get away with the crime, come to Pueblo, Colorado. I want to. That has been said many times. All I would say to you is ask our law enforcement personnel, they'll tell you where it's at.
Well, I hope we can get back to Fountain Creek sometime soon. But right now, what I'd like to say is that Commissioner Chostner sounds an awful lot like a Republican and how they used to attack John Kerry with that swift vote stuff. This stuff is just not true. I don't know where he's coming up with all this stuff. You know, on the contrary, we have a great partnership with law enforcement in our community. I've started a monthly meeting with all the chiefs of law enforcement. That's the police, the sheriff, Parks and Wildlife, State Patrol, Bureau of Investigation, federal agencies, the FBI, the ATF, and we talk and discuss our issues on a monthly basis. That's been going on for 7.5 years. I'm sure there are some disagreements among law enforcement in our office relative to maybe how a case is processed. These are professionals that have disagreements. You yourself in your work, I'm sure, have disagreements with people that you work around, but they're always ironed out in some fashion. We've started a critical incident team where the police investigate in a multi-agency effort incidents that have been perpetrated in our community that involve police officers and law enforcement agencies. DNA analyst has been approved to help get the information on DNA of crimes that have been committed. You know, when the Doherty gang came through town, you didn't see me in front of the national media trying to get attention. Instead, I was in a room with all law enforcement officers from Los Animas and Northumberland County and Pueblo County, trying to figure out who had the jurisdiction to take care of that case.